We love sharing Disney Park history. Today we explore history and trivia from Adventureland at Disneyland in California. Adventureland is an original land at Disneyland and opened with the park in July 1955. The idea for this style of land was in Walt's plans for the park since the beginning. In draft drawings of the park from 1953, there was an area called True Life Adventure on the east side of the park, which is the exact opposite side that Adventureland exists in today. Many early concept drawings have Adventureland under various names on this flip side of the map. It seemed to always have a meandering boat ride through a waterway with lush foliage and animals. It wasn't until October 1954, when the Disneyland TV show aired, that this area was named Adventureland, and it had moved to its permanent location on the left side of the park. The True Life Adventure name for this area of the park comes from the True Life Adventures short and full-length film series released by Disney starting in 1948. These nature documentaries were incredibly popular and won the Studio 8 Academy Awards. The style of nature documentary was relatively new and was so well received that Adventureland was initially going to be named after it. The series did receive criticism, though, for inaccurate narratives and faking some scenes. And ultimately, the land wasn't named after True Life Adventures, but just called Adventureland. Interestingly, the July 17, 1955 opening day telecast, Dateline Disneyland, that essentially showed the park to the public, only aired about 2 minutes of coverage on Adventureland, showing some brief footage of the Jungle Cruise ride. But then, months later on Disneyland TV, Walt introduced a True Life Adventure labeled episode that chronicled the making of the Jungle Cruise ride. So there was clearly a connection between True Life Adventures and Adventureland. For the first 7 years, Adventureland mainly consisted of the Jungle Cruise ride and not much else. There was Magnolia Park, basically a bandstand that was supposed to be in Town Square, and then was by the castle for bands to perform, and finally got moved to Adventureland, where it really didn't fit in with the theme. There was also the Tropical Cantina and Tiki's Tropical Trader's Shop. Adventureland definitely looked different, with no enchanted tiki room, Swiss Family Treehouse, or shooting galleries until the early 1960s. So the Jungle Cruise was the only ride in Adventureland. Like we mentioned, the Jungle Cruise ride was partly inspired by Walt's True Life Adventures film series. According to Disney Imagineer Harper Goff, he also referenced several films as his inspiration for the design of the ride, including the film The African Queen as inspiration for the boat design. The ride was originally going to have real animals too, but Walt discovered that the animals were likely to hide and/or be asleep most of the time, so he decided to use animatronics. The Jungle Cruise has changed since it opened. The jungle floor and trees have filled in to create a really authentic-looking jungle scene. More animatronics were added over the years, including a major refurbishment in 1964 by Mark Davis. That included big new scenes like the sacred bathing pool of the elephants and the trapped safari members climbing up the tree. Mark Davis was a Disney legend and also worked on other ride characters like for It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Haunted Mansion. He was also married to fellow Disney legend Alice Davis, who designed costumes for many attractions, including It's a Small World and Pirates of the Caribbean. The Jungle Cruise is still open today and still exists at Walt Disney World in Magic Kingdom and at Hong Kong Disneyland. Tokyo Disneyland also has a version of the Jungle Cruise ride, but it has quite a few variances from the Disneyland version. In the early 1960s, Adventureland had quite a few new additions. The Swiss Family Treehouse opened in 1962, along with the Big Game Safari Shooting Gallery, where for 25 cents, or a C coupon, you could shoot at lions, tigers, and elephants with a .24 caliber air rifle. The official opening ceremony that Walt Disney was part of happened on November 18, 1962, for these new additions to Adventureland. The Swiss Family Treehouse was themed after the 1961 hit film Swiss Family Robinson. The 70-foot banyan tree for the treehouse was actually artificial, and it needed a large spot that didn't exist in Adventureland. So the former small bridge that connected Adventureland and Frontierland was replaced with a large concrete walkway, as you can see in these old aerial photos. Along with these attractions, in 1962, the Tahitian Terrace, as well as Sun-Kissed, I presume, restaurants also opened in Adventureland. Sun-Kissed, I presume, closed in 1989 and was located where Bengal Barbecue is today. The Tahitian Terrace was located where Aladdin's Oasis dinner show was and where the Tropical Hideaway sits today. The Tahitian Terrace offered Polynesian food and also a Polynesian-themed entertainment show with dancing and firewalk. The Enchanted Tiki Room did not open with all of the other Adventureland enhancements in 1962, but instead opened less than a year later in June 1963. The Enchanted Tiki Room was special, not only because it was the first to feature the audio animatronic technology patented by WED Enterprises, but it was also one of the last park projects Walt oversaw before he passed away 3 years later. Walt was very excited about the technology, and at the time it was cutting edge. In fact, the patented audio animatronics developed for the Enchanted Tiki Room were then used in its A Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Haunted Mansion, although Walt would only be alive for the May 1966 opening of It's a Small World among these 3 rides. The original sponsor of the Tiki Room for the first 12 years was United Airlines. Then, in 1976, Dole took over sponsorship, but the famous Dole Whip soft-serve treat did not exist until later. At first, Dole sold only pineapple spears and juice at the Tiki Bar area outside the attraction's show building. Something that surprised us is that Dole Whip actually was sold in Walt Disney World first. Dole had been serving a vanilla soft-serve ice cream with pineapples on top at a Disney World booth, and Dole wanted to create a non-dairy, dry mix version that would withstand Florida's heat. A dairy-free, gluten-free, fruit-based dessert, Dole Whip was created by one of Dole's food scientists in a lab in San Jose, California. It first debuted at Disney World's Magic Kingdom Park in 1984, then Disneyland Park in 1986. And of course, today, Dole Whip is a quintessential treat and favorite among park-goers. The next major attraction to open in Adventureland was Indiana Jones Adventure in March of 1995. This attraction uses enhanced motor vehicles to take riders through the dangerous Temple of Mara, voiced by James Earl Jones. And on the ride, guests encounter Indiana Jones several times, although Harrison Ford did not provide the voice for his animatronics in the ride. At the time, this was Disney's 3rd joint project with George Lucas, the others being Star Tours and the Captain EO 3D film attraction. Of course, since then, we saw the biggest George Lucas collaboration of them all with the 2019 Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Land. On the Disney team, the creation of Indiana Jones Adventure was led by Tony Baxter, the famous Disney Imagineer who also was the creative force behind rides like Star Tours, among many, many others. One of the issues Tony Baxter and Disney faced with this new attraction was that there was really no space left in Adventureland. To solve this, a part of the Jungle Cruise ride and part of the guest parking lot was taken over to make way for the new, huge show building. That's part of the reason the queue is so long for this ride. When you go through the long and winding queue, you're actually traveling quite a distance to get past the berm that the Disneyland Railroad rides on to this outer show building that's right up against downtown Disney. To match with the Indiana Jones film, the theme of Adventureland overall was shifted to the 1930s theme. This ride was so popular when it opened, it regularly had wait times of over 2 hours. Interestingly, this is one of a few rides at Disneyland Park that didn't get replicated at Walt Disney World. Although the ride system was used for the dinosaur ride at Animal Kingdom in Walt Disney World, so you can experience a different themed version of the ride. Tokyo Disney Sea does have an Indiana Jones ride, but the story and the theming are unique, and the exterior resembles an Aztec temple versus the Indian temple we see in Disneyland. Although it has gone through many changes and additions since 1955, Adventureland seems like the most similar to its opening day look than any other land at Disneyland. We love the mix of nostalgia and new attractions. Let us know your favorite memories of Adventureland in the comments below, and if you like our videos, be sure to subscribe for more.